Lost in the Funhouse with Greg Poe and Blondie.
Welcome to Lost in the Funhouse quarantine episode. What is it?
22, I think.
22.
Well, we have escaped, though. We have
Well-
escaped. We tunneled out and tunneled our way into the hill.
You can tell we sound a little different.
If by different you mean better.
Yes,
Yes!
my wonderful, beautiful, golden voice is back.
Oh, I thought you were going to say wonderful, beautiful sound engineer. But, you know,
No, I wouldn't
well.
go. No.
We're back in the studio.
We love you, though, now.
Neil's been working hard on the studio. It looks completely different in here.
It is amazing.
We got
Thank
new
you.
floor, new desk,
soon to be new sofa.
New sofa.
The body in the corner, that's a new one.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. What body?
Client that didn't pay.
The client that didn't pay and
it
did not wear a mask.
It's like a Goosebumps book. The unpaying client without a mask.
Whoa! That's crazy. It's weird because, you know, Blondie and I have not seen. We haven't been over here in person. We hadn't seen you in person in
Almost 3 months.
almost 3 months. Yeah,
Yeah.
wow, it has been that, hasn't it? We've been trying to do everything we could to keep the podcast up and going remotely, and I've social distanced from my hair during this time period.
You
Yeah.
have. It looks good. You got
thank you.
that Bruce Willis thing.
I was going to go for Nikita Koloff, but you do you.
I will do, man. All you need is like an air duct
Douglas Rose, Magum
to crawl in.
Tony Schiavone. No, seriously though, yeah, it's been kind of wild, and I do want everybody to know, Neil has worked his butt off on the last few episodes of Lost in the Funhouse. We thank him for that, because since we're having to do it remotely, we had to call in and we had to do it via telephone. And everybody, as you guys may have noticed, everybody sounded great except for Blondie and I. And I wanted everybody to know and put this out there, because I know, like, sometimes, like, if an editor makes a change in a comic, I can't put on the page, this was not my idea. This was the editor's idea.
Right.
You know, so I did want everybody to know that we were talking right before we went on the air, and, it was user error on mine and Blondie's part. I was going to say, even I said mine and Blondie's part because Blondie and I were together at
was
my
holding-
house.
He was holding the phone.
Who was holding the?
I was the one
That was
holding
gonna be
the
my
phone.
question. Who was holding the phone?
You can tell because
It was
whose
me.
face is right in the middle of the thing, and every once in a while I had to try to lean over and get in the picture.
Well,
I'm like,
everybody
are you
wanted
still
to see
there?
me.
Hello.
Nobody can see you.
Everybody wanted to see me, Blondie.
You're like, this ain't video, is it? I don't want to be on camera. Can I turn my camera off? Do I have to have my camera on?
Oh,
You
yeah.
can still hear me
funny.
without the camera, right? No camera.
And then I left the camera on the whole time, and
you
my
left it
face
up?
was like right in the middle of it.
Yeah, you loved every second, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, I was mugging for that
No,
camera.
yeah, he
too.
was sitting there looking at himself, and
Yeah.
But seriously though, y'all did miss some good stuff though, because when we were shooting it, we looked like the Brady Bunch or Hollywood Squares or something like that.
Right,
You know, we had all
yeah.
the little squares up, and especially on the one where we had Stro and Brett the Crippler on there. Brett the Crippler was cracking us all up because he was putting little filters on and making himself into alien.
Oh, yeah.
And one time, one of the filters got stuck and he couldn't get it off.
oh gosh, that was so funny.
Oh, it was great. It
looked
was
good, though.
fun. Oh yeah. Well, I do think, didn't we? We put up on the podcast
Yeah,
Facebook
picture.
page. We put at least a snapshot so you
I
could
think
see.
I did.
Yeah.
Or what?
I
Somebody
don't know.
did.
Blondie's
Yeah.
been
It's
falling
up.
behind on her Funhouse page duties.
Hey.
As her nervous laughter fills the studio.
No, I like. Well, the one we did. Y'all have to understand the one we did with conspiracy theories, where we had Papa Stro and the Crippler on. We were sitting there, and why we didn't do a wrestling episode when we had Brett the Crippler Watson and Papa Stro Maestro, I don't
Half
know.
of it was a wrestling
the
episode.
episodes-
Well, you can't.
Yeah.
Anyone that Brett or Stro's on is going to turn into wrestling in
Yeah.
some way, somehow.
I figured.
So, so there was a good deal of that. But what was funny is, and what y'all have to understand, and we did mention it in the show, and I've got to bring it up again because it's just so freaking hilarious, is when we do one of these things, you have to understand Blondie comes over here with a huge notebook. I mean, you know, when she sits it down, I mean, it's just like, kaplunk, this big notebook. And she's got all these notes. Now, she is the one that came to me and said, hey, because this is usually how it starts. Blondie's like, hey, I got an idea for the next podcast. Why don't we do this, 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 and this? And I'm always like, yeah, all right. You know. And
Yeah, sure.
so then I'm the one, and then I'll hit Neil up. And I'll say, oh, yeah, by the way, Blondie says we're going to do this. And Neil's like, okay. And so Neil's working around the clock over here on his stuff. I'm back in the studio, my studio, working around the clock on my stuff. All right, comes time to do the podcast. Basically, as you guys have probably figured out, I just plop down in front of the microphone and start running my mouth. Neil, right before we actually cut on the mics and go live, Neil's like, now what are we talking about again? And then Blondie is like, guys, look. And she's done her homework. She's got that notebook filled with notes, show notes, the whole 9 yards. Everything's going to be great. She's keeping us on track. We sit down. She's the one that said, hey, let's do one on conspiracy theories. And I said, okay, cool. I said, let's get Pop Stroh in there on it because we love having him on the show. And then I was talking to Brett earlier in the week, and Brett found out Stroh's going to be on the show. And Brett's like, oh, yeah, I'll be on the show too. Yeah, let's do that. So we got both of them on the show. Thought it'd be fun, and it was a blast. And so we're sitting there. Papa Stroh looked one up, a conspiracy theory up. I even looked one up. Brett, who never does his homework, he just even in wrestling, he just goes out on the mic and starts talking. He doesn't think about it before he does it. He just starts running his mouth. He gets that from me, his dad.
Yeah, he does.
So Brett actually did his homework. Blondie, on the other hand, didn't do her homework, and it was her idea. And I look over, and she's got the notebook, and it's just a blank notebook, and at the top it just says conspiracy theories with a line under it. And that was it.
Yeah. That's about it.
Everybody had a theory or two or three.
Yes.
And Blondie had zilch.
I had the idea.
Oh, no.
That's
you
not
don't
how
get off that easy. That's
not how
it works.
podcast works.
No.
Somebody's got to
That's not how the magic happens, Blondie.
Right?
I've done enough homework.
And I finally sat down and did my
No,
homework.
you haven't.
And but see, even
Your
my
homework is never done.
well,
You're always like, ooh, who can have more homework? I'll take the extra credit.
that is her. I cannot tell you how many times I'm sitting there and she does that. She basically does the equivalent of, excuse me, professor, you forgot to assign homework to us for this afternoon.
No.
Yes, you do. So you know you do that too. So we're sitting there and I had this whole thing planned out. And I had done the research about Billy Jack Haynes and, you know, the kids on the railroad tracks and, you know, the Clintons and this whole conspiracy theory. Had gone through, watched some videos on it of Billy Jack Haynes talking about it, read some about it, everything else. I was so caught up with the fact that I keep looking over because Blondie was sitting on the couch right beside me and I'm sitting there looking over at her notes and it made my mind go blank. So in that episode when I'm talking about the conspiracy theory, I'm like, and then there's well, there's some kids on the tracks, and then Billy Jack Haynes, yeah, but back he did this, so I was all messed up. Mm-hmm. So I blame Blondie. Yeah, mostly. So anyway, well, a good friend of ours gave us an idea, and we've kind of toyed around, you know, because oftentimes, as you guys know, any longtime listeners to the podcast, you know, if you come on listen to looking for hard-hitting facts or something like that, yeah, this ain't us. We like to
you're in the wrong place.
Yeah, we're, you know, a bunch of ADD people and Blondie with her OCD madness, and then, yeah, we get off track and everything, but
it's not OCD. It's putting it back where it goes.
Yeah, says you. Okay. That's a way to nicify that.
Yeah. Or pay the consequences.
But what we're going to try to do is one of the purposes of the podcast is is stated in the mission statement.
We have a mission statement.
Oh Lord.
Kind of. It's kind of like, it's a mission statement that's just, it's got a lot of mission creep to it. But here's the situation. We want to give you guys some information. And we do. We give you guys, because this is how it is. We said since the get-go that we were going to let you know and kind of give you a peek behind the curtain and talk about, things that go on in con life and Comicons and pop culture cons and stuff like that. Because we're all involved in that industry. So, and that's something we've done. Instead of sitting here and just laying out, here's point A, B, C, and D, this is what we do before a con, sometimes during a con if the con's slow, and then after a con as we're packing up and getting ready to leave, we're all sitting around talking kind of like we are now. And we have been given a peek behind the curtain, but we're going to get a little bit more in depth because a good friend of ours, fan of the show, gave us the idea of basically starting a series on a couple of podcasts where we talk about, for newcomers to a con, what to expect, some kind of con etiquette, and we're going to break it down in different little categories. And I'll let Blondie explain because she's got her notebook out and she actually did her homework this time.
Yeah, we thought we would do a series, and I kind of broke it down to the first one. We were just going to do kind of new convention goer, first time, just, random anybody, first time going to a convention. And kind of what to expect, what kind of things to look for, what to prepare for, stuff like that. And then we would kind of go and break it down more in depth, as you start going to conventions. The next thing you're probably going to want to do is, start doing cosplay, dressing up. So we thought we would work in the a cosplay episode and let you know, more in depth things.
Like you weren't going to work a cosplay episode.
Oh, I've been waiting on that one. But we'd go a little bit more in depth in that. And then we thought we would do one just for our artist and kind of what to expect for an artist coming to a convention and setting up. And then
who?
we thought we would do a completely different episode for a vendor, because I think, artist and an actual vendor. And when I'm saying vendor, I'm talking about one of the booths that you usually see set up that's usually a comic book store or, a large vendor, what kind of things that they do and their, what they prepare for their first time coming to a convention.
Well, and medium-sized vendors too, because, that's we didn't talk about this. This is live on the air here. But, we were talking about, and I think that would be a good idea to include them because we've got a lot of good friends who are medium-sized vendors that are, kind of like crafters, that type of thing, that do like everything from jewelry to, things like that.
Do you guys know the jam?
But we would include them. So I thought we would do a completely, separate episode.
Episode though.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
Like we can get them to call in or something.
Yeah,
that would be good. And then we wanted to do, kind of a wrap-up episode to talk about, like, our first time at a convention, what, our
remember mine.
our stories. And so we'll tell those. And along the way, we're going to ask everyone, if you've got any convention-related questions.
Questions and/or stories of your
our
first
stories.
time.
Yeah. We would love to get those.
Well, another thing, if somebody has any questions or a story, or how about this, if somebody has a tip.
Yes, if anybody's got any tips that they've learned along the way, we would love to get those and share those with everyone. All right, but to get to the kind of overview episode that I thought about would be just new convention, new con goer, kind of to get you ready. And, what I thought about was just a couple of things, before you ever, go to a con, if you're looking at one. And, one thing you want to do is, probably word of mouth. You've heard, about a convention that you're wanting to go to. Somebody has told you about it. Hey, this is pretty cool. We need to go. Just go online, see if they've got like a Facebook page or a website that you can get more information, that will give you information on the venue, how to get there, tickets, how much the tickets are, and any other information that you probably need like that. And I always suggest, if you can, get your tickets ahead of time, because a lot of times if you get them online, you can get them cheaper than at the door. And depending on what size con you're going to, this could also save you time standing in line if you already have your tickets. So
True.
I would go ahead and suggest that. Also, depending on what size convention that you're going to, you want to prepare, how much money you are going to need with you. Because not only are you going to have tickets, to get in, you may have parking expenses, depending on the size. A
lot of the cons offer food and concessions.
Yeah.
And just to be quite honest with you, a lot of and I
go ahead.
love you guys out there and everything, the people that do this, but at the same time, I will tell you up front, a lot of the con concession food is usually a little high.
It's high. Go ahead
what it is.
and
Yeah.
think
No,
baseball.
has to be. They're
Stadium food.
paying for that building.
Well, there's a couple of different choices sometimes. Sometimes you'll go to a con and they'll have just like maybe in like some kind of auditorium that has a kitchen,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they will do
You'll have a
just like
limited-
your traditional
Yeah.
burger or a hot dog, something like that,
It's like a baseball field
like
Yeah,
a
that's
baseball
what I was
field.
thinking.
kitchen. Yeah.
Or on occasion there are, and this is happening more often than not, but a lot of the cons, like right outside the con in the parking lot,
They'll have food trucks, and
they'll have food trucks. And the
usually
food
that's where
trucks
you
are
get your better
amazing.
food.
Yeah.
But like
They're
we
high.
said, they are a little expensive, so be prepared for that. And and then you're going to need your spending money, of course. And, you can't go into the convention because you're going to have to see things that you want. There's going to be things that are one of a kind that you can only get at the conventions, and things that you're getting from artists while they're there. You want them to sign things. This is the chance to get stuff like that.
Well, keep this in mind. On that is when you go to one of these cons, even if you're new and you're going in there and you're having a good time and you want to get the most out of it. I mean, you want to have some kind of a souvenir or something when you leave anyway. But when you're in there, when you pay the price at the door, the person that gets the money, when you pay at the door and your ticket price, that goes to pay the person that's running the con, the promoter, or the showrunner, that's putting on the con.
Yeah.
Everybody who's in there at a booth or a table,
More
are
than
selling
likely
stuff,
have
yeah.
paid for that table.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now,
So
I'm lucky. I've been doing comics for years, so I don't pay for a table, which is pretty awesome. But there's a lot of artists and all the vendors are, a lot of artists that are starting out. So it really helps out. And because I guess what I'm getting at is be sure to take a little bit of money to buy some souvenirs, some prints, or, whatever from some of these vendors, because honestly, guys, just buying the tickets at the door aren't going to keep the cons going, because if the people on the inside aren't making any money, then they're going to stop doing cons and stop coming, and then you can pay at the door, there just won't be anything on the inside to be able to see.
yeah.
So I mean, it's just, that's something people don't think about because they don't really understand the first couple of times they go to a con how that works.
Yeah. But then, once you're at the convention and, you want to walk around, take a look at everything, there's going to be vendors there, like we say, artists, crafts, and there's going to be things to do. Sometimes there's gaming tables set up. for card games, or I have seen some video games set up, some of the virtual reality things, that you can do, and like we were talking about the
Photo booth.
food before, I don't think, don't always, sometimes, like we say, that depends on the size of the convention, can't always guarantee that there is going to be food there.
We have been, Blondie and I have been to some cons before where a certain time during the day and all of a sudden I'm starving. And Blondie will tell you, because we had this conversation or whatever, I get grumpy if I hadn't eaten.
Everybody does.
And, I become...
Oh, no. Y'all were not in the car with him earlier.
I become like if the Incredible Hulk, Jim Cornette, and Roddy Piper had a kid.
I've still got to go and dig peanut M&Ms out from under my seat.
Because I'm like popping them in my mouth. Because that was, I was like, I got to do something. So anyway, you're right. We've been to these cons where there is nothing. We went to one con, and we've been to cons where they don't have anything at all. We've been to other cons.
We've been there where they
Where it's
had
just
so
like
many people there that they
M&Ms.
ran out.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing.
So, because sometimes, it's our own fault. I mean, we were a little bit late, getting hungry because we got so busy at the table. And by the time we get over to the
Yeah, it's all
convention,
gone.
they're like, oh no, we're all out.
Yeah.
And so,
Yes.
if you want to, like, stick your little snack bar, granola bar or something, in your bag.
Or
that
one of my personal favorites, which is bacon flavored beef jerky.
Yeah.
Because I like bacon.
But, if you want to take something with you, but, just have a little snack until you're ready to leave the convention. I always pay attention to anything that's going on if they're having panels that you might want to go and see.
Panels are fun.
Yeah, find out what time those are going to be.
Yeah. Schedule your activities.
Yeah, if you want to schedule your activities around, when you're walking around and looking at things, and so you kind of know what you want to do during the day so that you don't miss anything. And be aware that sometimes panels can fill up. So, you want to get there early just in case. And
Greg Bo's always running late to his panels, just FYI.
yeah.
We know.
Sometimes he doesn't even know he's supposed to be in there.
That has happened more often than not.
I've got a...
Greg Bo Watson, please report to the panel room. Greg Bo Watson, please report to the panel room.
Yeah.
I've got a tip. If you're like me and have bouts of crippling anxiety, and you want to start going to conventions and you're not sure how it's going to affect you, find a small one.
Yeah.
Start with a small one, not probably the one I went to with the escalator. Yeah, no, that was
the funniest thing I've ever seen.
And we've done conventions for the past 5 years.
And then it was so big you couldn't find me.
I know.
You were looking all over the con.
I've been down every aisle in this thing, and you're not here.
And I was.
I know.
We kept moving the booth. It took a lot of effort. No,
I bet.
no, but seriously, and not just that. Whether you have, that was a great tip. But if you do have the anxiety, okay. And we're going to be getting into this more and more over the course of the series of podcasts we do on this. Mm-hmm. But whether it's the fact that you have anxiety, or it's just you're just new and maybe don't have anxiety, but you feel overwhelmed, or you just are like, what do I do? If it's a con Blondie and I are at, people will tell you. Most people in the con, you can go up to the table, talk to them, whether they're an artist, vendor, what have you, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief. If they're at the con, most people are really nice, good people. Keep in mind, though, that a lot of, particularly artists, and I have found this. I'm one of those exceptions because, you know, I run my mouth all the time. But a lot of artists get into visual arts because they can sit in their studio and not mess with anybody. They don't have to perform live, which I'm so surprised because your live performances are so great. I'm so surprised you're able to do those. But
It was a learned thing.
well, visual artists, you know, I find out, you know, when I teach my class, you know, I've got a couple of kids in my class that are very gregarious and out there.
Yeah.
And like to talk. And then I've got others that do not even want, I mean, you know, they'll sit there with an arm over their piece of paper. You will see artists, you know, and sometimes you'll go up to them. You know, they may come across like they're being rude. Please understand that some of those people aren't like me and just like to hear themselves talk. So I do. And if you come over and find Blondie and I, you know,
Don't strike up a conversation unless you've got at least 2 hours to spare.
Oh no!
no, but seriously,
Yes.
well, that's true. But come by the table. I mean, you know, come by the table. We'll welcome you to the con. And, you
2
know,
hours later.
2 hours later, you know, you can, but, you know, you sit there, you know, come talk to us and, you know, we'll help you out. You know, come talk to us and chat. I tell everybody that comes up to the booth, and you'll love this, Neil. Everybody that comes up, I'm like, hey, I'm easy to talk to. It's easy to get me talking. The trick's to get me to stop.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. Move along. You're not buying anything.
I don't do that.
No,
Damn.
I do that.
Misty does that. Tell him. Tell him. Oh, y'all have got to hear this.
What?
Tell him.
What?
Yeah,
Or
tell
I'll
me.
be sitting there talking to people, and you'll be like, there's people behind that are wanting to
Yeah,
buy
I
stuff.
know. I was like, I think they want to buy something.
But me, I just, you know, I like talking. So
Yes, you do.
I will sit there and talk to anybody for hours.
Yes.
The
He
world
will.
knows.
Yes, the world knows. I've been
It's
outed
like
publicly
everybody
on this.
like seems like they just kind of gravitate to your table, like just everybody, and then they want to have.
Well, we've made so many
long
friends
conver-
over the period
Our
of time
con
we've been there.
family.
Right.
The Con family, yeah. It's like a
And-
big Carney family.
People know talent when they see it.
Where? Thank you. Here's that $20.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
It just keeps getting passed back and forth.
All right.
The Mutual Admiration Club.
Stop it, quit. What if someone told you how to act? Now introducing the entire video library of Comicon How. Let Honest John Cons walk you through a step-by-step guide of how to get the most out of your Comic-Con experience. This series covers it all from first-time goers, the cosplayers, the last-time promoters. Order today and never forget you can always trust Honest John Cons.
But one thing that you do have to know is, you know, if you're afraid, you don't want to dress up that first time. Not everybody is going to be dressed up.
Oh, no.
It's going to
no,
be
yeah.
about half and half some conventions.
You will not see Greg Bow dressed up.
No, Greg Bow won't be dressed up. You can cosplay if you want to or dress up. You don't have to. It's totally optional. You will not be out of place.
It's my con and I'll cosplay if I want to.
Cosplay if I want to. Cosplay if I want to. You would cosplay too.
If you went to a convention too.
That is so bad. That is so bad.
It's going to be my next hit.
For the edited version, please see our Patreon.
You know, I remember a time. You know, because you've got cosplay now, and I just respect what y'all, you know, what y'all make so much with all these grandiose cosplay costumes and things. I'm so old. I remember being at a con, and the only cosplay at the entire con was somebody would come through wearing a Mr. Spock shirt with like the little Vulcan ears.
Yeah.
That was, if you saw Mr. Spock, I mean, that might be at every like 10th con you went to or something. But I mean, because it wasn't widely
thing back
done.
then.
It wasn't
Yeah.
a thing back then. But now it's such a thing. and the costumes are flipping amazing. Blondie comes
movie
the
quality.
Stuff, yeah, the stuff she comes up with,
Oh, I know.
yeah, it's wild. But you don't have. But like Blondie said, you don't have to. Cosplaying isn't a requirement. The first time she went, she didn't cosplay, but she saw a lot of the cosplay, and it really was something she thought,
I was like, I like
this would be
doing
interesting.
this.
Yeah. And so, now she cosplays at every con we're at. And, we see a lot of people that come their first time, and they may have, at most, they might have gone out and bought
Or
like
their
a t-shirt or
100th
something.
time, and they're still not wearing a.
Yeah, you don't,
costume.
it's, believe me, it's not a,
It's not a requirement. It's just,
not a
it's,
requirement.
some people like to do it, and it's something that some people, start doing after you've come to a couple of cons and kind of figure out what you want to do. But
Right.
a lot of people come in and just the regular clothes, and
that's okay.
That's fine. Wear whatever you want to wear. Just
But now
wear
What makes you
something.
happy?
but now I will say this.
As long as it's something.
Yeah, just clothes. You do have to wear clothes.
Yes,
Let's put it that way.
it is clothes,
Yeah.
shoes, shirts,
Deodorant.
Deodorant.
One thing I will say about the cosplay, and I don't want to bury the lead here because we're going to be doing a cosplay episode in this series specifically about this, but this is one thing that I can say it now and then we can repeat it then because it is something that's pretty important to say is 99.9% of these cosplayers that you see at a con, if it's your first time, will be totally okay if you'll walk up, and you have to ask them. Always be nice and ask them because they may be taking a break or doing some personal shopping or on their way to the bathroom in a mad
Yeah.
rush, because I've seen that happen a lot.
If you
But
want to take a picture with them or of them, it's always nice to go ahead and ask.
because most will, 99.9%
Yeah.
will.
Almost all of them, because they've worked hard on their costume.
Yeah, they want to show
And
it
that's
off.
the reason that they're dressed up and they're wearing it. They love to get the pictures made. But just be, courteous about that. Always ask. Not just, if they're taking a break or whatever, they may have half of their costume off because they're trying to go to the restroom, and they're about to die. So,
And don't take a picture of them in the restroom.
No.
No.
That's highly frowned upon, and that's another story that's actually happened to me before.
Seriously?
Yes. Anyway.
Are you serious?
Yes,
never told me that.
Yes, I told you about that.
Well, I wasn't listening. It was one of those times I
Yeah,
wasn't
it
listening.
was one of those times you weren't listening. So that's highly frowned on. But I mean, as far as taking pictures of the cosplayers, not only if, like I said, if they're taking a break or whatever, then probably not a good time to take a picture of them. And they're not trying to be rude, at all. It's sometimes you got to take a break, and if you don't have all of your costume on, you certainly don't want pictures of out there of half of your costume after you've
Right,
worked.
all the parts that you're not supposed to see of the costume, all
Yeah,
the
after
Velcro and stuff.
after
Yeah.
somebody's worked that hard on it,
Yeah.
you want a good picture and you want a good pose.
Yeah.
Don't take a picture like a sideways picture of somebody, while they're talking or whatever, and you get this goofy picture. Just ask them, and let them do their pose and get a
Right.
good picture. And most of them are pretty, very okay with taking the picture with you.
Right.
Be mindful of, touching anything. We'll go more, probably into that, later. But as far as cosplayers and stuff, but just, especially right now with whatever we're doing, like the social physical distancing
Right.
Yeah.
or whatever, it's probably going to be a little different now. But just
Oh, it's
True.
definitely going to be a little bit.
Yeah.
just be aware of where your hands are, and just
Yeah.
Well, like I was saying earlier, most people at the con that you're going to run into are really good, nice people.
yeah.
Will talk to you and like to talk. Like I said, always come up to us at a con. There's one in particular though, that whether you're a fan of pro wrestling or not, if you see him at a con, go talk to him at a con, because he is like literally the nicest person
Oh,
on
yeah.
planet Earth. You know who I'm going to say? Who am I going to say?
Yeah, our favorite that we get.
Papa Stroke.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He,
yeah. He's a
if-
sweetheart.
If you're a wrestling fan, he will tell you stories that you would not believe, and he can tell a story. And
Right.
but whether you're a wrestling fan or not, he's really kind of in our con family. He's kind of become like a con ambassador, because I mean he's just always willing to help everybody out, talk to them, and everything else. But anyway, had to put over my buddy again.
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty wild. I mean, it's a great community, and we try to. I know you've noticed over the years, whenever we're at a con, I always ask somebody when they come up to my table, whether it's somebody that I've known for years and is a fan of ours and comes to see me at all the cons, or if it's somebody that's new, I mean, that I've never met before. One of the first things I ask them when they're at the table, I'm like, "Hey, are you having a good time at the con?"
We have a lot of people just come up and just automatically tell us, "Hey, this is my first con."
Yeah, some will
and
just
we're
say,
like,
but
"Welcome
then
to
we'll
the con."
ask.
Right.
And we do. We're like, "Welcome to the con,"
Buckle up, son.
buckle up. Everybody go find Neil and just gather around him and
Buy something. Come on.
and just stare. Just stare. And just wait for him to react.
Oh, but another thing that we were talking about having money and stuff for. This is another thing that probably people would get interested in conventions for is to go and see celebrities. This is another kind of thing, depending on, like we said, size of the convention. You may or may not have celebrities. Some of them don't. Some of them focus more on artists and vendors, and some of them do have artists, vendors, and
Yeah.
they have celebrities. And one thing is to go ahead and be prepared. That's another thing I was saying. Like, if you look on the website, you can go ahead and get some information, because I've been to conventions where, if you're just going to see the celebrities, sometimes the celebrities are not out where you can see them unless you're prepared to pay to have something signed or a picture. And sometimes the celebrities it's pretty expensive to get a signature or a picture with them.
Depending on the level of fame.
And depending
Yeah.
on the show too, if you see a flyer or an ad online or on social media or whatever for a show, and it has these actors across the top, that does not guarantee that you will see them and or talk to them, because in a lot of cases now, yes, there are some actors that are like that, but in a lot of cases, it's not their fault. It's either the people that are running the show,
Yeah.
or their agents.
A lot of them
themselves.
have a lot of times I've seen that it's more their agents or
Yes.
their representatives.
Absolutely.
They try to, I guess, keep the lines moving, and it's kind of not. I don't know what you call it. I'm kind of like at a loss for words. I mean, what am I trying to say?
I don't know.
I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I mean, or just like if you're thinking that you're going to come up and just like have a long conversation with one of the celebrities, like you can with artists or the vendors that are out.
Like non-celebrities.
Most of the time, that's not going to happen
That's
unless you buy something.
Not going to
Yeah.
happen. And like I said, there have been conventions like we talk about every once in a while, like Dragon Con. That's one of my favorites if you like celebrities.
Ooh, yeah, that is a huge one.
That's a
that is-
huge
Well,
con,
but-
but the way that they have their celebrities set up in a big ballroom, if you're just wanting to see them,
Yeah.
that even though that is a huge convention and a lot of people, you can get closer. I mean, you can't just walk in there and take pictures of them, because
Right.
that's highly frowned on to have your cell phone out and taking pictures of them. But if you just wanted to see them,
Yeah.
You can walk by and you can get very close to them, and actually see all the celebrities if that's all you wanted.
There's going to be really good ones and there's going to be really bad ones. Like some of the greatest ones that I've personally ever met or have had experiences with was like James Marsters. And then every now and then, and I don't mind this, one in particular that, let's just say, painted himself green in the 70s on a certain TV show and ran around.
Yeah.
Who are you talking about?
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about. I cannot. Yeah,
I've heard stories of
Brett got into
him,
it with him in an elevator.
really.
Oh yeah, we can't tell that story, but let's just put it this way. That was funny, but yeah, you're gonna have some nice ones. You're gonna have some that are kind of full of themselves and rude, but yeah, I mean it's just like what you would expect, really. But you've just kind of got to take it with a grain of salt. And Blondie was saying how, like at Dragon Con, which is a wonderful con, some of them you can see when you go into the celebrity room and just see, like you can just walk the aisles and kind of glance over. And on a rare occasion, there are certain celebrities that, if you're nice enough and you walk up to the table and, like you buy a picture, like if you buy like an 8x10 and get them to sign it or something, a lot of times some of them will take a selfie with you.
Yeah.
Others won't do it, and don't blame them because sometimes it is their agent.
Yeah.
Because I have been a little disappointed myself because I'm one of those, I don't like to have the autographed picture. I would rather have the selfie with me and
Right.
the
Yeah.
and
we
the
know
celebrity.
how Blondie likes herself in pictures.
I know,
We
but
do.
I don't know.
Please refer to episode 3.
But to me, I'm just kind of like,
Through 8.
that's just proof that I saw them. I mean, I can.
Did you see it? I was actually there. You see me? That's my
Yep,
face.
that's me.
And there's their face.
That's their face. Yeah.
We're almost touching.
Oh, this surprise is off topic, but I just posted a picture because the other night, 2 nights ago, we were sitting in there in my house and we were watching Supernatural, and
There's a
We've been
shocker.
doing
yeah, right. So we're in there, and
season 8.
we're watching. And guys, we're just now watching Supernatural. I'm gonna out us on that.
Yeah,
but,
we're slowly getting caught up.
yeah, but we're on like season 8 now. So we're sitting there on the couch watching Supernatural, and I looked out, kind of cattywampus out through the living room through my door,
That's a Southern
and
word.
it was I'm
Yeah,
from
it
the
is.
South, cattywampus. So I'm looking out there, and I see it's broad daylight, but all of a sudden this deluge of rain just coming down, and Blondie's like, "What is that? Is that rain?" So we got up and looked, and when I looked out the door, up there across the mountains, because we got this view of the tops of the trees out there and everything, but this giant rainbow. So I went out on the front porch and I took a picture of it, and it caught like the raindrops coming down, the sun coming through the sky, and then this beautiful, gorgeous rainbow. And then Blondie gets out there and we take a picture of her pointing at it, and as soon as she starts pointing at it, it starts to fade. And so we started laughing, but then I was telling Brett about it on the phone because I sent him a copy of the picture,
Yeah.
And Brett's laughing. He goes, "Why is it in almost all Blondie's photos is that when there's something in the background, she's pointing at it?"
What?
I got to
Always
thinking about it.
pointing it.
And I said, "Oh my gosh, go back and look through her photos." Now, not when she's sitting there just like dressed as something, but if she's standing there and something's off in the distance, she's always like, and just
Vanna
pointing.
Whiting.
Yeah, just pointing at it in some weird way, like, "Look, it's me, guys, and I'm here, and I'm standing next to that."
Yeah.
Hey,
It's the weirdest.
you can't say anything.
I
How
can say
many
everything.
times have you seen a picture of Greg Bow and he's doing like this or something? With he's pointing
That's
at
my
whoever.
That's my
You have
go-to.
one?
That's my
Yeah,
go-to
you're doing that
pose.
to me in ours.
That's my go-to pose.
When I released
Yeah.
Empty House and
Yeah.
brought you a copy, you
He's
Oh,
either,
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
either pointing at who's beside him or he's doing like the
Yeah.
peace sign or something.
yo,
Well,
yo.
that's called interacting.
Oh, okay.
Yours is like this weird. It's
Now we're
just
getting
weird.
personal.
So he is the ultimate though. Here's a selfie.
I am the ultimate,
And
you heard it.
And look who I am with. Look, I am pointing at them.
Look who's worthy.
Yeah.
Y'all aren't right.
But I did learn that what's Thor's
Started that conversation, ended up turned around on me, and I burned myself.
Yes.
Sure did.
But we did learn from Supernatural that Thor's hammer is only worth what was it? 3/8 of a virgin?
3/8 of a virgin.
Not even a whole one.
Not even a whole one.
Yeah,
3/8 of a virgin.
we can't
Virgin.
see because that was
Virgin.
one thing. Because I was like, oh, how cool would it be to do like an episode on Supernatural or something? Then I got to thinking, I was like, that would be awesome. The only thing is, we're so late to the party with Supernatural because we
Yeah.
just started watching it. That to us, we're sitting there. Oh yeah, Thor's hammer is only worth 3/8 of a virgin. Everybody else is like,
what?
yeah, we talked about that like 8 years ago.
Been
Yeah.
there, done that.
Yep.
I'm like, come on. And speaking of Supernatural, though, it's new to us and everything, but that brings up another point about these cons. Another thing to see and do at cons is a lot of times, because I've got a good friend who has a couple of the cars that comes around, like Bumblebee and the Mystery Machine. You may go to a con and they'll have like an area roped off where you will, or maybe they're parked out front, depending on how the size of the con in
Yeah.
the building it's in. And you'll see like vehicles, like replica vehicles that were in the movie. And a lot of times, you'll see the cars and stuff. That's another thing. You always go up and ask the person. There's always somebody that's standing by. Sometimes they might have a sign. Sometimes they don't. But always ask, because the person who brought it there, it costs them to bring the car there and everything else. So, and sometimes they're doing it to raise money for charities and stuff.
Right.
Always ask and say, because I noticed like there's some, like the Batmobile and a couple
Yeah.
other cars, that they'll actually let you get in
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
get your picture taken. And that's much better than just going by and just taking a quick picture. And they're not expensive. I mean, a lot of the ones that I've seen, I mean, I know
Yeah.
there's some that are probably high, but there's a lot of, because what made me think of it is talking about Supernatural and
Yeah, baby.
Dean's baby. Yeah. And they even have like in the trunk where you open it up and it's got
Yeah.
all the weapons and stuff.
Yeah.
And Blondie and I have been to so many cons, and we're
I know,
just walking
and
by
we
and we're
just-
like,
we
what
didn't
is
get
that?
it.
Right.
What
I
is
was like,
that?
yeah, I know it's from Supernatural, but yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
So
whatever.
now we're in the nose.
Now I'm going to go ahead and tell you, as soon as this quarantine fully lifts and cons eventually down the road are back to their restored glory, we all can rely on the fact that we will have plenty of pictures of Blondie in the Supernatural car
Yes.
to look forward to, or her standing there pointing at it.
Oh, yes.
But you would normally see you probably see Baby and the Mystery Machine.
Nobody puts Baby in a corner.
Yeah, he did say that one
I
time.
know.
That was funny. But you'll see the Mystery Machine, the Batmobile, sometimes the Ghostbusters.
Oh, yeah.
Ecto
One.
One.
Ecto One.
Oh, and there's groups too. Speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up, because like the Ghostbusters and like the Star Wars, the 501st.
Yeah.
These are great groups. Most of the stuff they do is for charity. And they're local chapters, so they're usually at the con. So you may see like a Legion of Stormtroopers and Vader and Boba
Yeah.
Fett. You might see people walking around dressed as the Ghostbusters.
Yeah, the
and-
South Carolina Ghostbusters.
Yeah, they're
We did
great.
their theme song.
Oh, did you really?
We did a bluegrassy version of the
Oh, how cool
Who You
is
Gonna
that?
Call?
How cool is that? Well, it's like you ought to tag part of that like on the end of the show or something.
Okay, yeah, we did that. Oh God, 3 years ago.
Yeah, but that'd be cool. And
Well, now,
that
yeah.
would be, I don't think they'd mind. I think it'd be a
No.
cool shout out for them because they're cool folks. Anyway.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
love those guys.
Yeah. I mean, it's like we're saying. I know going to a con can be real trepidatious for somebody who's never been before. You've seen it on TV. You go walking in, you're like, yeah, what do I do now? This is all cool and everything. I promise you this: when you walk into a Comic-Con, unless it is tiny. I mean, tiny. You walk in, you're going to be on sensory overload.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you're not going to know
Yeah,
which
you're
way to
gonna need a nap.
go, which way to go, what to do. Always ask.
I mean,
somebody.
just enjoy it.
Yeah, just enjoy it, have fun. interact.
A lot of people make friends, at the conventions because you find people who are into the same
Fandoms.
that you're into, and you'll meet new people, and I think the conventions are a lot of fun.
And listen, people from all walks of life go. And I remember
All ages.
All ages of, all ages, genders. I mean, it just crosses all boundaries. Because I remember, like I said, I'm old. So I remember when, like, some of my earliest memories of cons and stuff, again, pardon me, there wasn't a lot of cosplay. There wasn't a lot of cosplay. There was, more like publishers that were there. And, there wasn't a lot of the stuff to do like there is now, but I'm just going to say it, back in those times, it was basically, there was just a certain set of people that went, and it was, mainly guys, usually teenage through maybe right after college, that kind of age group that was there. Now, pop culture has exploded.
Yeah, it
and
has.
It's, comics and stuff. So it's really for everybody. I mean, you will find, just like anywhere else in life, you will find people from, it doesn't matter what their ideology is, their race, gender,
Beliefs. Yeah, it's
beliefs,
all just
orientation, any of that. I mean, you're
Oh,
going to
you
find
like that
it
too?
across the board. Yeah.
cool. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Exactly. And nobody, and the cool thing about cons is nobody sits in there. You can find two people that have completely, totally different ideologies, like on politics or something like that, but they can really bond and talk to each other over comics and,
Yeah.
Yep.
other things. And it's really cool. There's nobody sitting there judging anybody, or unless you're in a cosplay contest and they actually have a judge. I mean,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, let's be real here.
that's their gerb.
Right.
But I mean, seriously, I mean, you've got people that get along from all walks of life, and I mean, it's really wild and brings everybody together.
But like we said, we would really love for anybody to write in your questions. If you've got questions about conventions,
Comments and or
comments
tips.
or tips, or stories about
First-time con
your
experiences.
first con. We would love to hear those, and you can send those to getlostinthefunhouse@gmail.com. You could also reach us on our Facebook page. We're going to continue this series and get more in depth into the other areas, more specified areas coming up. And so with that,
Guess it's time to get lost.
in the Funhouse.